Hello everyone, this video is for Module 4. Module 4 is the halfway point of the semester, and so one of the things that you can do in this module is take the midpoint survey for extra credit. Another thing that you can do for extra credit is email me to tell me that you've been watching these videos. They're really important for the class because it does give me a chance to give you some tips on completing the assignments, but also do some things that I would do in a regular class, talking you through the assignments, explaining some things a little bit further, that kind of thing. So the videos are really important, and I do take some time to make them. So I appreciate it when students actually take the time to watch them. So if you email me to tell me that you've watched this, then I will add extra credit to your Module 4 work. So this module is the start of our third essay, which is the comparison contrast essay. This essay will actually take 3 modules to complete. It's the largest essay that we'll work on this semester. And by that, I mean we have the most assignments attached to it. And we are going to go through the full writing process in order to complete it. So it should be your best essay for the semester as well. So we're taking the 3 modules to do this because we also need to include things like peer editing that will be a part of what you'll do for this essay. So I'm looking at Module 4. This was the beginning of the comparison contrast. It's probably the most difficult essay that you'll write this semester because it has more documentation requirements. And so you're going to be doing some of the documentation stuff for this module here. So we want to read the comparison contrast readings and then also the documentation readings. Those are both included in the Module 4 readings quiz. So it's kind of a lot of stuff to include, so make sure that you give yourself some time to go over everything. The documentation readings, if you did them in Module 3, there's some of the same chapters, some of the same page numbers, and so you may already be familiar enough with it in order to take the quiz, but you probably will want to go back through and just give yourself a refresher. You're also going to complete the MLA documentation assignment, and this assignment is just to, sort of like the definition essay gave you just one source with one sentence from a source, either a quote or a paraphrase. Now you're going to expand that a little bit. You're going to use 2 sources. You should preferably have your comparison topic chosen before you do this assignment. So you may want to do the pre-writing assignment first, but it's right here because the readings go with it. So you're going to pick 2 sources. If you end up changing your topic, it's not a big deal, but it is kind of helpful to, rather than doing extra work, being able to use the sources that you plan on using for your essay or that you think you might use for your essay. So you're going to pick 2 sources about your topic, and then you're going to write an MLA style works cited entry for each one, and then you're going to write 1 quote and 1 paraphrase from each one. And so it's 15 points per source, so you'll basically write 3 things for each source. You'll have the works cited entry, one quote, and 1 paraphrase. And you want to make sure that you're citing them correctly, and I have an example linked right here. And so you can, if you want to, if you're feeling really lazy, you can even just take this document and write over it if you want to and submit it. So that's the assignment right there. That's just practice documentation again. Documentation, the only way that you can get good at it is to practice reading. So the other thing that you'll do is this comparison pre-writing journal. We've done a journal in this class before, and what you'll do is it's set up as a discussion board that only you post on, and so you will only see your own posts, and you have 4 entries that you'll complete: a brainstorm, a free write, a cluster map or list, and a working thesis. And so the idea is by the time you get to the working thesis, you have chosen your topic for your essay, and that's the one that you'll include. If you deviate from this in order to write your essay, you may want to email me and approve your topic, because this not only acts as topic approval from me when I give you feedback, but then I can also help you with your working thesis. The thesis for this essay is a little bit difficult because there's not a set way of writing a comparison contrast thesis. So this gives me a chance to give you feedback before you start working on the essay and before you get too far into it. So make sure that at least By entry 3 and 4, you have cemented your topic idea, and so that the feedback that I give you is helpful. The other thing that you'll be doing for this module is the academic source discussion board. The academic source discussion board is looking at evaluating sources, and so it goes along with the documentation stuff in the module. You're going to choose 3 sources and post them separately. At this point, you should have your comparison essay topic chosen. So preferably you would use sources about that topic. You can use the same sources that you chose for the documentation assignment. And so overall would maybe find 3 sources about your topic, and you can use 2 of them for the documentation assignment and then all 3 of them for the source discussion board. The source discussion board is pretty simple. The first thing that you do is just post your 3 sources. So you can do this right away. Once you've just cemented your topic idea, just post your 3 sources. Once you see that a lot of your fellow students have started posting sources, then you go back in and you respond to 2 of them. Now, it's important that only 1 response post can be given for each source. So we can't double up response posts. If you go to complete this assignment and there are no open sources available, send me an email immediately, because I will post some sources for students to respond to at that point, because I don't want anyone to lose points for not being able to do those response posts. You have to email me though, because I'm not always in here checking each discussion board to make sure there's enough posts. So keep that in mind. And you're going to be responding to your peer with an evaluation of the source. There are 4 criteria in the textbook that you can look at, and I want you to write out in complete sentences your assessment of the source using those criteria. So we're just practicing finding sources and evaluating them for academic quality. And so that will goes along with the discussion from the documentation readings and all of that. So this entire module, we're focusing on finding your comparison topic and understanding what comparison is, and then also what do we do with sources? How do we find them? Where do we find them? What kind of sources are the best, and that kind of thing. So those are the assignments that you'll complete, and then the midpoint survey is here as well, which is an anonymous survey that you can earn 5 points extra credit for if you want extra credit in the class. So those are there's quite a few assignments in this module, but since we're not writing an essay, they won't take you as long to complete. I would probably start actually with the pre-writing journal and then move into some of these other assignments, kind of depending on how much time you have, but choosing your comparison topic early would be a good idea. You can always email me if you have questions about what kind of a topic would be appropriate for this assignment. So the comparison essay assignment is choosing 2 entities to compare, and it's not an argument essay, which is an issue that sometimes students have, is they want to argue one is better than the other. You're just looking at 2 subjects that can be compared, and the comparison, the whole point of that is to make it more interesting. So you might pick 2 things that are really similar. So EMTs and paramedics, for example, a lot of people use those 2 terms interchangeably, and they're not the same thing. And so it would be interesting to point out a lot of differences between the 2 and how they are different. And so we would then expand your reader's knowledge on the subject by doing that. You might also do the other way, which would be to pick 2 things that seem to be really, really different. So 2 religions, for example, or like Republicans and Democrats, for example, and talk about the similarities between them. And so it might be more interesting to point out similarities in 2 subjects that appear really different, because we would further and expand our knowledge about it. You want to be picking things that are fairly concrete, that give us good examples to work with. So like comparing summer and winter or something may not be the best comparison, because everybody knows the difference between the 2, and summer and winter is kind of different in different places. And so it would kind of evolve into, I'm not really sure this is a comparison at some point. So make sure that you are picking things that you can provide some really good, concrete, specific details for and specific examples for. Again, topic-wise, you're doing the pre-writing journal, and you can always email me if you have questions. And then you'll be using sources. You have 2 minimum sources, so we're increasing the number of sources that you use. You have to use 1 direct quote and 1 paraphrase, so use at least 1 of each. And so this will be just a little bit more complicated of an essay than we did for the definition essay. The other thing to remember about comparison is it's going to be specifically organized with point-by-point comparison, which is what the chapter will talk about. So make sure that you are reading the chapter for this one. So that is Module 4. Again, halfway point, starting to work on the 3rd essay, the major essay for the class. If you have questions, make sure that you send me an email. Otherwise, I hope you have a good week.